Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all across the globe. Tonight is the return of the Dynamic Racing League, and we're heading over to the Netherlands, the home of the greatest driver the world has ever seen, Max Verstappen. Tonight, we're going to be doing a one-shot quali, then followed by a long, grueling race. Of course, we've got a few new drivers in the field this evening who may or may not have done this length of race. And of course, it is incredibly hot over here in the UK this evening. We've seen temperatures ranging from 30 to 35 degrees in London and the southeast. So hopefully you've all got your fans, you've got your drinks, and I hope you're all ready and prepped to start the new season. It is season 13. Fantastic achievement by both the league owners, Smug-Git and DRS Swanton. What a fantastic job the pair have done in making sure that we get full grids most weeks. And we're lucky enough to see what I think is going to be a full grid. We might have 19 perhaps. Yeah, once again, what a fantastic job the pair of them have done. I think we've got a couple of new drivers, have we? Yeah, Daniel Morris driving for the Scuderia Ferrari. He will also take a pro seat. Which will be interesting to see how he gets on. And from the sounds of things, Ty is out, so we are down to 19 drivers, but it's still a fantastic turnout once again. I'll quickly run through all the teams then. So we have Senna in the pro and Michael JFF, who joined the back end of last season. They are driving for the Red Bull team. In the Mercedes, we have last season's pro champion, Jax Daniels. He will be teaming this season with Jay Lowfield, another driver who joined towards the back end of last season. In the Ferrari, we have Dan Morris, who will be a pro alongside Centra Finley. The McLaren, we see Al Newt partnering Project Ty, who sadly is not able to make it this evening, which would be a real dent in their potential chances of getting the Constructors' title. Just one race miss can make a hell of a difference. In the Aston Martin, we see DRS, Smug-Git and Lord Coleman. Slightly different this pairing. Both drivers will be racing in the pro section. There is no Pro-Am driver in the Aston Martin. In the Alpine, we have Marksby and Easy Life. The Williams, we have DRS Colin and Alex Pixie. And the Red Bull Visa, we have the Sloth and Sainsey. Of course, just while I remember here, if you're listening in, do not ready up. Let people pick their setups, for goodness sake. This is a long race. You don't want to be driving on a default setup, that's for sure. In the Kick Sauber, we have DRS Syme, who is my favourite for this year's title. I think he didn't have the best season 12, but I think he's going to really kickstart things. F1 25 and season 13. And then we have last season's runner-up, DRS Swanton and Rouge Nico, who on this is now Nico 246975. Obviously, get Nico in there needed a larger amount of numbers. I am on Twitch, so if you have any questions as we go along, by all means, please just let me know. But we will hopefully shortly be soon starting the one-shot qualification. Now, please do bear with me. It's been a while since I've done any form of commentary on the Formula One games, so I need to get myself back up to scratch on the telemetry, etc., etc. Somebody has already started, so that's not a good start. Not a good start at all. Hopefully, some of you will be able to get setups done in time, but of course now there is just 30 seconds left to go. We may see a red flag, who knows? Not 100% sure yet. I'll keep you updated on that side of things. Let's see if anyone pops up with any information on that. And we're off then on the one-shot qualifying. Now, I am going to stick with... I'll tell you what. Oh, this seems very, very slow for moving across to different drivers and things. I hope that's not the way it happens all the time now, because that would be very, very annoying. It's actually quite difficult to tell who we're with. I'd like to go back up to the top. JLo Field at the moment seems to be doing a fabulous job. Now drop down to P5 though. At the moment it's Jack Daniels. Now it's Al Newt. Al Newt, I'm pretty sure, has always been reasonably strong around this track. Al Newt, Senna, Jack Daniels. It's always changing, and that is the joy of the one-shot qualification. It is always, always changing. That one mistake can cost you massively. My prediction for the title, DRS Simon, is currently residing in just P8. He will not be happy with that. I don't think anyone has yet to get a... I can't think of what the blooming word is now. Disqualified anyway. I don't think anyone has invalidated their time as of yet. We'll quickly try and jump up to Swanton then, who crosses the line. And it is DRS Swanton who takes the first pole position of the season. I think we're looking to... Yeah, I can hear you as well, Senna. Are you sure you haven't switched the game chat, mate? So there are the times then. So Swanton with a 109.766, a 109.965 for Senna in P2. Daniel Morris, a great start to his DRS season with a 110.1. I tell you what, Swanton is a hell of a lot quicker than most of the field. Is he going to walk away with the title this season? He certainly wants to win it back. Yeah, we also have Senna coming through the DRS chat as well. But never mind. Of course, don't ready up, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I think it's just gents in this league. Gentlemen, don't ready up to try and avoid anyone picking up an early 30-second penalty into beginnings of season 13. Of course, there are a number of laps here. 30 seconds worth of penalties will not do you any good whatsoever, especially around a short circuit like this one. Of course, be careful going into that first sharp right-hander. You can certainly catch a lot of people out. I can remember when I was racing in the previous season, I just went completely kamikaze into that first sweeping right-hander. Let's make sure that we try and keep it as clean as possible. The opening corner of the opening race, the opening day of the season. That would be absolutely fabulous. Evening, Bazza. Thank you for joining us this evening. Evening, Sainsy. And yeah, Sainsy saying, you say dive bomb into the first corner. Quite what I said, but do be careful going into that first corner. As I said to you, of course, if you have any questions as we're moving along, I'm probably not the guy to ask, but I'll do my very, very best. Be interesting for those of you listening, who is your prediction for this season's title? I've already said mine is Syme, although it doesn't look overly good at the moment. I believe he's starting from P8. Yeah, I think he's starting from P8. Yeah, he won't be overly happy with that, I don't think. I wonder what the tyre scenarios people are going to go with. Are they going to go from soft to medium, medium to hard? I'm pretty sure this track you can do soft to medium. Although I suppose, you know, I've never done a 100% race around here. I presume it's going to be a two-stopper, especially if you start on those softs, unless you go from soft to hard. Again, not 100% sure. But what a great start there by the Sloth in the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. Really good start by these two, actually. The Sloth and Al Newt. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, Lord Coleman as well, making that giant leap from the Pro-Am to the Pro. JLo Field having a magnificent, magnificent start. He is in the Pro-Am, of course. He is the highest Pro-Am on that field. Marksby, I think, will be a little bit disappointed with only P9. Sainsy would be reasonably happy with P10, I think. He is, of course, teaming with the Sloth, so they're on for some good points. If it all remains the same during the course of the race, Michael JFF starting behind him, then followed by a complete legend of the Dynamic Racing League 50 Gen, Alex Pixie. He will not be happy down in P13. I'm pretty sure he'd have expected better. But the big losers of today so far are certainly Jax Daniels, DRS Colin, and Smug Git. They will be absolutely mortified with their qualification lap. Especially last season's champion, that's for sure, Jax Daniels. He will be, I can imagine, he's probably having a little bit of a strop. I know I would be. Going from last season's champion to now starting in P18. I presume he must have invalidated his lap. Stainsy saying 4th lap in this game, so I'm buzzing with P10. Absolutely, I think it's a really, really strong job. I think you've done incredibly well indeed. We're just about to start the session lap here with DRS Swanton leading the way. Closely followed by Senna, who's my last couple of seasons I've always predicted this man will finally take the championship. I've moved away from it this season. I feel as if I'm a bit of a bad luck charm for the poor guy. So I've moved away from it this season. Daniel Morris, I presume you're born in 1996. That makes you 3 years younger than me. Quite depressing. The Sloth then starting P4. Al Newt P5. Lord Coleman P6. Jay Lowfield P7. Syme P8. Marksfeet P9. Sainsy in P10. Michael JFF in P11. 50 Gent P12. Alex Pixie P13. Easy Life P14. Smugkit 15th. Collins 16th. Centra Finley 17th. Jax Daniels in P18. Wow. He has got to make an aggressive start to this Grand Prix. Let's have a look and see what tyres everybody is on. Yeah, a lot of people starting on the softs, a lot of people starting on the mediums. There's no hard... Oh, there is one hard runner, and that is Smuggy. He always seems to go with the alternative. How he's going to get on here. Clearly not that well, because he's just driven into the wall on the parade lap. Wow. Don't think he's going to be overly happy with himself there, Smuggy. Thankfully, though, I don't think there's any damage on the formation lap. Swanton and Senna already taking their places at the grid. Now closely followed by Daniel Morrison. What a debut so far for him in the Ferrari. We've got a Haas on the front row, followed by Senna. J-Lo Field obviously not getting himself into the box correctly. Neither has Centra Finley. A bit of a slower start than I feel. Imagine Syme might try and make the most of that, try and get himself past J-Lo Field early on, who's going to be quick to start with, especially on those softs. Will Senna and Swanton be able to defend properly at the start of this Grand Prix, starting on the mediums? And we kick off proceedings here in Season 13 on F1 2025. Let's hide that UI for now, and Swanton reclaiming the lead. There's a bit of a scuffle towards the middle of the pack, but Swanton keeping the lead as things stand. Let's try and get a little bit more up so I can actually see who's where. At the moment I can't actually see anyone. Because I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Right, so... Nope, it's not working again. I have to have that up, do I? Okay. So Swanton leading the way then. Senna already down to P4. He will not be happy with that start at all. Sloth up to P3 then. A fabulous start from him. Let's just have a look, see the positional changes at the moment then. So Senna down 2. Marksby up 2. 50 Gent up 4. A fabulous start from him. Jax Daniels, I can see, has moved up 1. Smuggy is now in last position as things stand. Daniel Morris now just under half a second behind the Haas. Of course, DRS will be enabled on lap 1. That is something I'm not a huge fan of at the moment. Both drivers seemingly harvesting. Note they now put it into full speed, full power. Murray Swanton obviously setting the fastest lap of the race so far, being that he started on pole position. Marksby then up 2 places, up into P7. Good start from him. 50 Gent though has had the best start of all. Fantastic start from him. He has moved up to P8. It's been a good start from Sainsy as well, jumping up 1 position. 50 Gent, I believe, is now the highest running Pro-Am, so that's absolutely fabulous from him. The Sloth now pushing hard to try and catch up with Daniel Morris. They, of course, will have DRS available to them. It's all pretty close to start with. We'll stick with the front runners for the time being. The Sloth is right on the tail end of Daniel Morris. Of course, they will both have DRS available to them. Don't be surprised to see Swanton perhaps drop 2 positions going into the pit lane straight. And that's another reason why in the game I would sooner it have 3 laps before DRS is available. I think you're a sitting duck almost if you start P1. And here we go. The Sloth now, he's a long way back. Daniel Morris, though, on the other hand, he might make a move into turn 1 here. No, he just about manages to keep it a little bit further back. Am I right in thinking that Daniel Morris is on the soft tyre? Yes, he is. So Swanton, of course, is on the medium compound tyre. He's got to try and keep Daniel Morris behind him as long as possible. Michael JFF then moves up 1 position. He overtakes Smug Git then further down the field. We have JLo Field and Sainsy battling it out for P9 and P10 respectively. JLo Field has just managed to overtake Sainsy. Sainsy running very, very wide there. Go back up the grid then. Senna will not be happy with his start to today's Grand Prix. But I think he'll be a little bit more happy than DRS Syme, who has dropped 3 positions. Of course, what you have got to remember here is the 2 drivers that have jumped Senna here both are now on the soft compound tyre, Senna being on the medium, Al Newt also on the medium and keeping pace with Senna. That's fantastic from him. A splendid job. JLo Field then back up into P1 in terms of the Pro-Am with a good move on 50 Gent. We'll go back then to the front runners, and Daniel Morris has he managed to overtake Swanton? He has, into turn 1 after the DRS straight. It's one of the only overtaking opportunities on this track. It's not too many. It's a narrow track as well. Thankfully from next season the cars will be considerably smaller, we're led to believe. Of course, with the introduction of Audi next season as well, which would be absolutely fantastic. So Swanton then dropping down to P2, but of course he does have the advantage at the moment. He is not on the soft compound tyre. Let's go down to Syme, who's catching Sainsy here. Of course, Sainsy not really competing with Syme and does lose grip there. Goes completely off track, and Syme makes the most of it, moves up into P10. And Colin now not far behind Sainsy either. Sainsy seemingly struggling here. If those softs have already gone off, I wouldn't have thought so. But we're right on board then with Colin, who's hoping to make a move on Sainsy, and there is a bit of a collision there, but I think Colin just about backed out in time there. Neither driver wanted to give up any sort of room there, but I think it was pretty good defending from Sainsy in the end. Let's go to JLo Field then, who has lost the position to 50 Gent. Apologies for missing that. But let's see if he can now reclaim the position from the Kick Sauber, which he does, and it's quite a comfortable move in the... Or is it? 50 Gent now coming back up the inside of JLo Field, and 50 Gent, fantastic manoeuvre from him. JLo Field, though, coming in, he's coming in quite hard there. Perhaps hard, but perhaps fair. The Kick Sauber and the Mercedes battling hard here. JLo Field seems to back out there. I wonder if he's actually just dropped back and allowed 50 Gent to reclaim position 8. And of course then P1 in the Pro-Am standings as well. So Swanton now almost a second behind Daniel Morris. But again, as I said, they are on 2 different strategies here. Things will certainly change up. We're 5 laps into a 72 lap race here. The field is now starting to spread out a little bit more, which I think is always quite good. JLo Field then, we'll go back to this battle here. It's probably the most intriguing battle. Actually, Let's go back to the battle for P1 here, as Swanton goes down the outside of Daniel Morris. Will he be able to hold it, though? It'll be a good move if he can. The pair of them squabbling here. It's a debut drive, of course, for Daniel Morris, but Swanton does reclaim P1. I'm surprised he's battling so hard. I'm surprised he's not sort of nurturing those tyres, keeping them as fresh as long as possible. But then, of course, how can you not overtake? It's all part of the fun, isn't it? That's for sure. Let's go a little bit further down the grid then. Let's go down all the way down to P15. Let's have a look at Alex Pixie. He is trying his... Oh, and I'll tell you what, in the meantime, Sloth and Al Newt are battling quite hard. Actually, let's go up to the battle for P4 and P5. The McLaren and the Red Bull very hard here. The top 5 are staying very, very close together, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, both the Sloth and Al Newt are both former Pro-Am champions. The Sloth winning it on 2 occasions and Al Newt winning it on just the 1 occasion. But of course, he's never gone back from Pro, back to Pro-Am. He's stayed in Pro. So that's a very, very good achievement from him. And there's certainly no way he's going to go back to Pro-Am now. Senna now up into P3, pushing hard now behind Swanton. Swanton obviously has just lost the position. We completely missed that whilst watching Al Newt versus the Sloth. Apologies there to our viewers. In the meantime as well, Nico has just overtaken Alex Pixie for P14. We'll go back up to Swanton then and his grueling battle with Daniel Morris. As I said, I'm surprised. Well, actually, maybe not. He might be battling hard with Daniel Morris because he's concerned about this man here, the Red Bull of Senna. He does seem... I'm not surprised he's concerned with the Red Bull of Senna. Senna is an incredibly good attacking driver. He's unlucky not to have been crowned champion at least once. He'll be pushing Swanton and Daniel Morris all the way, as I think Sloth and Al Newt will as well. I think they'll be pushing at least the podium, at least. There's still a hell of a lot of this race to go. We're just 10% of the way through now. Let's go back to Swanton then, as he's going to go down the inside, as will Senna. Senna and Swanton go P1 and P2. Daniel Morris, complete sitting duck there without that DRS. The DRS is so strong around this track. You might even find that at the end of this lap that Swanton might be a sitting duck to Daniel Morris and Senna. I wonder how long these softs last. I've never done a 100% race here. Done many 100% races, to be honest. So I'm not too sure on the tyre degradation scenario here. We'll go back to DRS Syme, who's battling not only his teammate, but J-Lo Field as well. Of course, you can also put Marksby into that as well. The Sloth has now moved up into P3. Daniel Morris has dropped all the way down. I wonder if there's something gone on there. I'm guessing he must have come off somewhere. Senna already nearly a second behind Swanton. I'm guessing something must have happened. Maybe between Senna and Daniel Morris then. Looking at it. We'll run on board then with 50 Gem. Will he try and overtake his teammate? I don't think he will. He seems to be harvesting battery. Syme, I think he got the perfect entrance into the chicane there. Let's go then back to here. Let's see. Tell you what, the DRS strength is so strong here. Senna was almost a second behind Swanton before the DRS straight. He is now well under half a second. J-Lo Field then losing the position to Mark. No, he was still behind Marksby, wasn't he? Marksby was ahead of him, but he might just about pull away here. And he does. It's a fabulous, fabulous overtaking manoeuvre there by the Mercedes and by the Pro-Am driver. Leading the way here. Sainsy now down in P19. Guessing something's happened there. He has already pitted. In fact, he pitted 3 laps ago. Apologies for missing that. Let's go then to Jax Daniels, who is working his way through the field very well. Of course, he started in P18. He is now up into P10 and will start to look to put pressure on his title rivals. He's got a bit of grass on his front right there. A little bit wide to the previous turn. Both drivers have plenty of ERS life left. Smug-Git then, of course, running on the hards. He's the only driver on the hards. It doesn't seem to be quite working for him at the moment. And let's go back to the battle at the front there between Senna and Swanton. Oh, is there going to be contact here? No, I don't think there is. Sorry, had to switch cams there because I couldn't quite see what was going on. Swanton just about manages to retain. I wonder if there's any swearing going on in their party chat between the pair of them. I think these two might be pushing each other all the way for the title this season. It predicts sign, but I'm not sure that's going to come to fruition. Perhaps I should have predicted one of these two. Perhaps I should have predicted the Sloth. Perhaps I should have predicted Al Newt. Because these four drivers are incredibly close, and then not too far back is Daniel Morris. I wonder if he's starting to feel those softs a little bit here. Go back. I'll tell you what, we're going to stick with this one for the time being, because I think Senna might just make a move here on Swanton and move up into P1. Of course, he didn't have the best of starts on lap 1. He dropped all the way down from P2 to P4. He's going to have plenty of battery here to make the move with DRS available to him. Will Senna move up into P1? I don't think he will. I think Swanton really manages the race so well. Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's got plenty of life left in that ERS as well. Let's go then to Al Newt. And the Sloths really keeping pace with these front two. It's absolutely fabulous to see. They're doing an absolutely splendid job, the four of them. It was previously the five of them, but he has now dropped back a little bit, Daniel Morris, but it's still been an incredible debut nonetheless by the Ferrari man. His teammate Centrafini running ahead of his father at the moment, Smug-Git in P17, so I'm pretty sure he'll be happy to be beating his dad, but perhaps not overly happy with his current position. Let's go then back to Senna then. I'll tell you what, he's got to keep harvesting that battery. He's got to be able to have enough to push Swanton. I can imagine what Swanton does. I should imagine he probably turns off his ERS for large portions of the track and then burns it all on the pit lane straight. Let's stick with Senna then. He's going to have plenty of ERS, plenty of DRS, and he moves up into P1. It's a fabulous overtake. Senna now is your new race leader. We're 12 laps in to the DRS Round 1, Season 13, Netherlands Grand Prix. Bassa saying, come on, Senna. It was a fantastic move indeed. Let's go down to Jax Daniels now, battling hard with Marksby. He's now up into P9. He's just overtaken DRS time, I believe. Michael JFF also moving ahead of Alex Pixie in the meantime for position 14 on the grid. Senna seemingly has gained a bit of an advantage over Swanton as well, almost a second. If he can get that second clear before the DRS straight, he's got every chance of coming out of turn 1 with the lead intact. I'll tell you what, I wonder if Senna is running lower wings. He seems a little bit slower through the chicanes, but it might work out well for him here. We'll stick on board with Swanton for now. Let's see if he can make any inroads on Senna down the pit lane straight. He will have the Sloth behind him as well. Don't think he's going to be able to make a move here. No, I think he's going to be too far back on this occasion. There is something about Swanton. I don't know how he does it. He seems to be able to manage the races so well. And we're right on board then here with a four-way battle between the two kick. Oh, Jax Daniels has been pushed there. Oh, I wonder if the stewards will have a look at that. It was either Colin, 50 Gent or Syme that's gone into the side of him there. He's done very well to actually control the scenario. At the moment, last season's champion is only in P12. He was a bit of a sitting duck there without any... Has there been an accident here? No, apologies there. Lord Coleman, though, has moved up into P5. Daniel Morris and his softs, I think he must have been running... is it transmission? Traction, something like that. Too high. So I can't remember all the, the terminologies. So Lord Coleman then, up now into P5. He's a little bit of the way back behind the others. Let's go back to Swanton and Senna in the battle for P1. In fact, no, let's go to the Sloth and Al Newt. Al Newt moves his way up into P3 and into the final podium slot. Swanton got a little bit closer to Senna that time round, but it wasn't quite enough. So Al Newt then up into P3. I should imagine his medium compound tyre is now going to start to pull away from the Sloth's soft compound tyre. I think there's every possibility that Al Newt could certainly get a P3 here, if not higher. And certainly if he can get over a second clear of the Sloth, which I think he's going to do, you know. Although we do have a short DRS straight coming up. Swanton then just biding his time behind Senna at the moment. I'll tell you what, I'd be surprised if Swanton doesn't get Senna on this pit lane straight. I think he's going to retake P1. I think he's got a lot of battery power left. He's going to have access to that DRS. Let's ride on board then with the Haas as he tries to go down the outside of the Red Bull. I tell you what, it's actually a little bit closer than what I thought it was going to be. I thought Swanton was going to absolutely steamroll past Senna then. Wasn't quite the case. Senna, I think, has got a lot of straight line speed. Obviously running slightly slower wings than Swanton. Swanton tends to go with higher wing ratios. Al Newt now just over 2 seconds behind Senna, but the Sloth keeping pace then. And what I would imagine to be screaming softs. How much longer they'll last. Easy Life does decide to go into the pit then. I wonder if that's because he's lost his front wing, perhaps. Let's see from this view. Let's go to DRS Colin then. There's an interesting battle going on between Marks v 50 Gent Colin and Jax Daniels. Jax Daniels hasn't seemed to be able to manoeuvre his way past him, although he might do now, but he has made contact with DRS Colin. Thankfully, nothing untoward has happened there. There's a little bit of contact, but thankfully nothing major. I think he just lost his front end there, Jax. There was any intentional manoeuvring there onto Colin. Let's then go back to the battle at the front. Senna not making a move this time. The Sloth, though, on the other hand, is trying to make a move on Al Newt into turn one. And he's trying to go around the outside now. Don't think he's going to be able to hold the position. I think Al Newt has done plenty there and defends the position really, really well. I tell you, there's one thing about Al Newt that he's been fantastic at over the past couple of seasons. And I think it was brought up in the award ceremony recently. His defensive work is absolutely superb. Another driver I put into that category as well was Late Bloomer. I don't think he's racing with us this season, perhaps just as a reserve. But you know, there aren't many better defensive drivers than Al Newt. You could put Swanton into that category as well. I think his defensive driving is absolutely fabulous. He seems to know how to get the job done. That's one thing I would say about Swanton, is he does seem to know how to get the job done. I think in overall pace, I think we can certainly look at, I think Senna and Jax Daniels are probably the two fastest one-lapper drivers in the league. But if you're looking at drivers who can get the job done, get the P1, get the championships, can't look much further than this man here, DRS Swanton. And I actually think, give it a couple more seasons, I think season 15, I think this man here might surprise a few people as well. He seems to have the knack of how to get the job done as well. Let's go a little bit further down the field. Let's go down to Marksby then. Right on board with the Alpine. He's come back to DRS this season. He had a season break last year. I think he raced the last couple of races as a reserve, but he had a season off. I think he'd moved up into another league somewhere that also raced on Mondays, but he's now thankfully back in the palms of the DRS Racing League, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's go down to Jax Daniels then, who's having some real trouble getting past the tricky and tenacious DRS Colin. Colin, another driver certainly capable of winning races and finishing on podiums. doesn't seem to have the consistency that I'm sure he would like. I don't know if he's moved now onto steering wheel full time. He was on controller. Oh, I'd be surprised there if Jax Daniels hasn't picked up any front wing damage. It was only a light tap, but how the new game works with that. Yellow flag's added sector 2. I presume that is for, I think it's for DRS Syme there, who's come off. I tell you what, my predictions always seem to go wrong. I think I should just stop doing it. Jax Daniels, I think, may have had a... Oh no, he's dived into the pits, JLo Field. And also picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is really going to hamper his chances of picking up P1 in the Pro-Am this evening. Go back then to Senna, still behind Swanton. And I won't give anything away, but I think both drivers are being very, very sensible. They're pushing too hard at the moment. The Sloth now still half a second behind Al Newton, doing a fabulous, fabulous job. I think we've got a Mercedes off track here. Is that Jax Daniels? I think it might have been. No, it's not Jax Daniels. I think it's JLo Field. Yeah, JLo Field coming off track there. He's only just dived into the pits as well. He won't be happy. Hopefully for him, he's got no... Oh, we have a full safety car. Not sure when that happened, but sadly as well, Lord Coleman has picked up a drive-through penalty. As Swanton now dives into the pits and throws on the hard, Senna is throwing on another set of mediums. Clearly going for the two-stopper. Swanton only going for the one-stopper, so they're going to go on different strategies here. Al Newt also throwing on mediums, as has the Sloth. So I'm guessing then Al Newt also going for a two-stopper as well. DRS Colin picking up a 10-second time penalty. I think it's really harsh, the 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think they'd be better off going back down to that 5-second time penalty. I think 10 seconds is really, really harsh. I don't know what anyone else thinks about it, but I think 10 seconds is just... You don't gain anything because you're going in and then the game automatically slows you down. So you're not actually gaining anything. I think 10 seconds is absolutely ridiculous. Michael JFF also picking up a 10-second time penalty as well. I think it's a slow pit stop, this one. I think it's about 36 miles an hour. It's one of the slower pit stops on the calendar. Sainsy, I think, he is pitting now. He's pitting for another set of mediums. I think it's probably a wise decision from the Red Bull Diesel driver. Syme then throwing on some mediums as well. I think that means all cars would have pitted now. I think some of them have pitted twice. I think Sainsy is one of them. Yeah, Sainsy and Nico both pitting twice now. As has Syme, as has Easy Life, and as has JLo Field. The rest of the field with just a one stop. So it is a full safety car. Not quite sure the reason behind it. Come to life at the end of the Grand Prix, but we are now 19 laps into the Netherlands Grand Prix, and as you can see, Lord Coleman has a drive-through penalty. DRS Colin has a 10-second penalty, and as does Michael JFF. We still have 52 laps remaining of tonight's Grand Prix. So we should be looking to finish in about an hour's time, I would predict, for those of you watching at home. And seeing that we've got at least 12 viewers, which is absolutely fantastic. If you can get all your friends and family to watch us this evening, watch us race, watch us completely waffle on like I am, that would be absolutely fabulous if you could do that at home. Of course, if you're watching at home, any predictions on today's race winner? It'd be great to know your thoughts. Jax Daniels seemingly has worked out for him that pit stop. He has now moved up to P8. Theory, P7 with Collins' 10-second time penalty. Marksby, Daniel Morris and Swanton might be a little bit slower to begin with, but they will now surely be running all the way to the very end of this Grand Prix. They're going to be looking to put them hards through absolute hell. 52 laps round Zandvoort. Quite a grueling track on the tyres. I'm surprised they haven't gone for the two-stopper. But perhaps they know something we don't know. Would be the case. Terry's Reds, thanks for joining us this evening. Jax Daniels for P1. I'm calling it now. That's a big shout. It is a massive, massive shout. He was last season's champion. He's certainly got every chance of doing it. Do I think he's going to do it tonight? I wouldn't put it past him. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't put it past him. But I think looking at the strategies now, I would have to say, if Senna can get past Swanton in the early phases of the safety car restart, I think he's got every opportunity to go on and win this Grand Prix, because I think those mediums are going to be significantly better than the hards. I think, as you can see, Smug struggled on the hards. He was the only runner from the beginning of the Grand Prix on the hard tyre, and he seemingly struggled. I think the hard runners are going to struggle. I don't know if they're going to be able to push them all the way to the very end. Whereas these medium runners are going to be able to go medium for 20, 22 laps, something like that. Maybe 30 laps, probably 30 laps. We're going to be able to push them to, and then they're going to get 22 laps on those soft tyres. Something in that sort of remit. And of course, they will have a much lower fuel load as well. So 22 laps, they should be able to push through that. A lot of the drivers, like the Sloth, for example, was able to push through 20 laps on the soft compound tyre. We do have a driver off track at the moment. It was the Mercedes. I think it was Jax Daniels. The safety car is in this lap. Race control has just confirmed that. Imagine we'll start seeing Swanton slow up the rest of the pack now as they manoeuvre their way around the final echelons of Sector 3 and ready to restart what has been a reasonable Grand Prix so far. I don't think we've seen any sort of majestic, amazing moves yet, but the driving's been pretty solid so far. A couple of little incidents involving Jax and Colin, but again, nothing major at all. I think Senna's got to make the early move here. I think you could also put Al Newt into that frame as well, being on the medium compound tyre. They've got to make a fast move here. The race is now restarted. Swanton leading the way into turn 1. Closely followed by Senna and Al Newt and Sloth. Then Daniel Morris. Jax Daniels already up into P7. Already manoeuvres his way around DRS Colin. Fantastic manoeuvre from him. And he's also now up into P6. Wow, he is on an absolute charge at the moment. Jax Daniels. He's now got Daniel Morris in ahead of him. Daniel Morris, of course, is on the slower hard compound tyre. So don't be surprised to see Jax Daniels move into P5 pretty soon. What a drive it's been from him. He, of course, started in P18, ladies and gentlemen, so he may almost start from the very back of the grid to go on and win the Grand Prix. And that is the estimation by Terry's Reds. And what an achievement that would be if that could happen. Smug get there making the move on his son, Centra Finley, up into P13. And then also Syme now dropping back as well. I'm guessing something may have happened there. They're battling quite hard, Simon and Finley and Smug, for P13, 14 and 15 respectively. We'll go down to, I'll tell you what, let's go down to that battle back there. It looks, oh my word, and I've just caught Nico heading into the side barrier there. Syme now battling hard with Easy Life, of course, former teammates. That Syme called Easy Life his best ever teammate. Syme hitting the side of the wall. He's very, very fortunate not to lose his front left there. Very, very fortunate indeed. Go further back up the grid then to the Sloth. Battling hard with Al Newt here. Both now on the medium compound. Sloth almost making the move there, putting Al Newt under severe pressure. Swanton just about managing to maintain a 0.4 of a second lead over Senna. Won't be enough going into that DRS straight. And I can imagine following the DRS, Senna will move up into P1 and then move further away. He's clearly got more grip going around these corners. He's right on the tail of Swanson. Imagine he'll try and stay behind him on this straight here. I don't really want to overtake him here because I'd imagine Swanson will then reclaim the position. Yeah, next DRS straight. Yeah, he's hanging back there. Swanson just about manoeuvring over to defend the position. Colin then makes the move on Marksby. He does have that 10-second time penalty. As I said earlier, Daniel Morris has dropped back, being on that hard compound tyre. Jax Daniels is on an absolute roll at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is absolutely flying. The Sloth now going for it. Senna going for it. Senna moves up into P1. I think Swanton's made a grave error here. going onto those hard compound tyres. Don't be surprised to see him probably in P5 by lap 30. I really wouldn't be surprised to see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jax Daniels up in P2 by lap 30 either. He is looking incredibly fast. Terry's Reds called it earlier. Nico with another 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is gut-wrenching for the Haas driver. Al Newton then just over half a second behind, just under half a second behind Swanton. Again, don't be surprised to see him be able to make a manoeuvre soon. Of course, Swanton will have that DRS available to him as things stand, because Senna... it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I don't know if Swanton's going to have the DRS available to him to be able to defend here, although Senna... yeah, he got away with it, that corner there. Swanton's just desperately got to try and stay within reach of Senna here. I don't think he's done enough. Be interesting to see. No, he hasn't. No, he has not. Now he is at... and now Al Newt pulls away and is up into P2. I think it's a grave error by Swanton. Swanton then making a real lunge down the left-hand side. That's very unusual for him. Usually so cool, calm and collective, but not on this occasion. I think he's starting to panic about this man here, Jax Daniels, who's working his way through the field and working his way through the field very, very quickly. Back up to Swanton then. Al Newt is now 1.2 seconds behind Senna. I think Swanton's made a massive error here. I really do. I think we'll see Senna about 10, 11 seconds clear by lap 40. I think it's going to be too much, but we'll see. Let's go then further down the grid. I am trying to get a little bit more further down the grid, but of course most of the intense battling is higher up as things stand. We're right on board with the league owner, Smug Git then. He's going to have DRS available to him. He's right behind Marksby, but Marksby also has DRS available to him as well. I think he's going to be able to make a manoeuvre on this particular DRS straight. Let's go back up to Jax Daniels then. He is right behind the Sloth. The Sloth is right behind Swanton. Swanton, though, this time does have DRS available to him. I think we'll be able to defend the position. Jack's not close enough to make any sort of inroads this time round. Al Newt 1.5 seconds behind Senna, but well clear now of Swanton. He's just under 7/10 clear. That's even after the DRS as well. Sloth and Jax Daniels having a real battle here. Let's go back down to DRS Smug Git, who again is right behind Marksby, but unfortunately for Smug, Marksby is right behind 50 Gent as well. DRS Colin starting to make a little bit of an inroad on Daniel Morris, as he should be, given the fact he's on the faster compounder tyre. Senna now almost 2 seconds clear of Al Newt, but I think he's probably got to gauge himself against Swanton. He's about 2.8 seconds clear of Swanton. He's probably going to need for another pit stop to move on to the soft side. He'll fall behind Swanton, but of course he will then be on the soft compound tyre. I think he's going to need about probably in the range of about 15 seconds, and then he should be able to make up the rest of it. Oh, and Marksby off into the wall. How on earth, though, has he not lost his left tyre? He's going to dive into the pits now. I'm guessing that is front wing damage. Guessing he's going to have to go in and change his front wing there. Michael JFF making the most of that then. Let's move further back up the field again. Al Newt keeping the overall distance to about 2 seconds. It's about 2.7 seconds between Senna and Swanton. Senna's going to have to start putting in some real times here and start trying to pull away. Marksby then coming out on a fresh set of softs. Sainsy not having his best race. He said beforehand he'd barely done any practicing, about 4 laps worth. So he had a good quali. But, in terms of the race pace, it's been pretty poor, pretty dire from the potential Pro-Am champion this season. At the moment, in terms of the Pro-Am, it is the legendary 50 Gent leading the way in P8 and doing a magnificent job. Cool, calm, collective as normal. So, Swanton is now he's still within range of Al Newt here. Will he look to make a move? He's right on his tail. not going to make the move though. He's going to stay behind Al New. The Sloth and Jax Daniels still remaining the same as well. We're almost halfway through this Grand Prix now, about 36 laps in, I think he's halfway. Yeah, good at maths, me. That's not true. Is that true? Yeah, I think it is true, isn't it? Yeah, 36 laps is halfway through the Zandvoort Grand Prix, so we're almost at the halfway mark. We've already made 1 round of pit stops. A few people have made 3 rounds of pit stops. Most drivers towards the front have made the 1 pit stop. We'll go down to Lord Coleman then, battling hard with Easy Life. Lord Coleman won't be too happy with his position, bearing in mind he started in P6. He has managed to manoeuvre his way around Easy Life, although Easy Life might have the inside. No, he doesn't. Lord Coleman has the inside, and he's remained in P14. Let's go back up to the top then, as they're just about to enter the pit lane straight. Swanton still within DRS range of Al Newt. Al Newt not in DRS range of Senna. Swanton, I think, is just biding his time here at the moment. And using Al New, I think, to be able to defend his position from the likes of Sloth and Jax Daniels. Of course, as I said, not many overtaking opportunities here. Jax Daniels, I think, has to be the driver of the day so far, starting in P18, now all the way up into P5. It's a magnificent drive from last season's champion. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect him to stay down in P18, but at the same time, I didn't quite expect him to be up in P5 either. He'll be most grateful that this evening's race is a 100% race. Otherwise, he'd only have just the 6 laps left to potentially manoeuvre his way onto a podium. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on a podium. I really wouldn't this evening. The Sloth keeping a real close guard of Swanton here. Just over 4 tenths behind last season's runner-up, DRS Swanton, who, thankfully for him, he is still well within range of Al Newt. I don't think he's going to have enough to make a move on him. Al Newt will be able to defend that P2. As I said, Al Newt is one of the hardest drivers to actually get past. He's the ultimate defender. He's proving that once again in today's Grand Prix. Drop down to Collins, still battling. Well, I tell you what a recovery then from Smug Git. Where on earth has this come from? Smug Git now up into P7. Well, I wasn't expecting to see that. Well done, Smug Git. Very, very solid drive. Had a poor start, had a poor qualifying, but managed to get himself right up there. And I tell you what, just in the meantime, Jax Daniels has moved ahead of the Sloth. This now puts Swanton in some real danger. These two, of course, were battling it out for last season's title. It went right to the final race, which Jax Daniels won. Oh, the back end there coming out on Jax Daniels, though. The Sloth almost tried to make pay. It didn't quite work out for the Sloth. Jax Daniels will have ERS and DRS available to him, but he is far too far back from Swanton to potentially make a move. Swanton, on the other hand, was right behind Al New. I still don't think Senna's pulling away enough at the moment. Swanton, yeah, maybe he has made the right call. I still don't think that is the case. See, it's whether or not Senna can push those tyres to the end. I very much doubt it. It'll be 52 laps on the set of mediums. I think that would be very, very... In fact, no, he's got to pit again because he started on mediums. So Senna has no choice but to pit again. It's the same for Al Newt because they both started on the medium compound tyre. They both have to pit again. Of course, really plays into the hands of Swanton. But I don't think he's got to be more concerned about this man at the moment. Jax Daniels pushing really hard on the Haas of DRS Swanton. Swanton now, though, is just 4 tenths back on Al Newt. Will he maybe go for the overtake on this lap? Excuse me. I think he might. Battery in full flow. DRS available to him. I tell you what, I think he's too far back. Yeah, he's too far back. Al Newt was absolutely magnificent there. Great defensive work once again from the McLaren. Clearly got a better exit out of the final turn. And manages to keep the Swanton at bay. Move down to Lord Coleman. Pushing as hard as he can on those softs. I should imagine they'll do about 26, 27 laps. The softs with a lower fuel load. He's done 12 so far on them. He's behind J-Lo Field. J-Lo Field this season not competing with Coleman. Coleman is another pro, and I think rightly so. At the moment it is still 50 Gent then leading the way and also leading his teammate. He's leading the way in the Pro-Am proceedings at the moment and also residing in a very, very respectful P9. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job as usual. Go back up to Jax Daniels now, who might just start putting that pressure on DRS Swanton. I think, oh, the Swaff has retired from the session. Are we at full safety car? We are indeed. The Sloth is out of the Grand Prix. Terrible, terrible news for the Red Bull Visa driver. And Daniel Morris then picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's another one to add to his collection. Michael JFF picking up a drive-through penalty. What on earth is going on here? But the Sloth is out of the Grand Prix. Michael JFF retiring from the session. I think that is just down to all those speeding in the pit lane scenarios for him. He'll be most disappointed, as will Senna, his teammate. But the Sloth then, I don't know what happened to him, but he is out of tonight's Grand Prix. And he was doing a marvellous, marvellous job, had every opportunity to make the podium this evening, but it will not be the case now. For the Sloth is out of the Grand Prix. I tell you what, I think Senna will be absolutely devastated to see a safety car as well. Question is, does he pit now for hards? Does he pit for hards and come out behind? I think he'd come out behind J-Lo Field. So he'd come out in about 6th. Oh no, Senna drive-through penalty. Oh my goodness me. Oh, Senna. That is not what he wanted. He is pitting, he is going on the hards, but he's going to have to do a drive-through penalty as well. Oh, that is devastating. Swanton also pitting. I think he's going to chuck on a set of mediums. This now plays into his hands beautifully. Jax Daniels and Smug surprisingly both staying out here. But Jax Daniels has gone from P18 to P1. Terry's Reds, you may have called this spot on here, mate. It would be an unbelievable achievement if he was to go on and win the Grand Prix today. It'd be a really special, special moment. But I'm absolutely devastated for this man here, Senna. He's driven an absolutely glorious race so far. But now finds himself with a drive-through penalty and having to finish this race on hards. I tell you what, that safety car has absolutely crucified his chances of winning today's Grand Prix and taking an early lead in the Season 13 Championship. That is absolutely gut-wrenching for the Red Bull driver. I'm mortified for the chap. I really am. Really, really am. But it certainly now plays into the hands of Al Newt, Swanton, and Jax Daniels. I think you'd have to say Swanton's got to be the favourite now, though. Fresh mediums going into the last 38 laps of the race. I think he's got to be the favourite. I mean, you're only going to see 36 laps. He's still half a race left to go. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We've still got half a race left to go, but I'd be very surprised now if Swanton wasn't to go on and win the race. I think with the penalty scenarios in tow, Senna with the drive-through, Daniel Morris with 10 seconds, I think there's 3 potential race winners now, and that for me would be Jax Daniels, Al Newt and Swanton. I think had the Sloth not crashed, I think he certainly would have had a great opportunity at a podium today. Sadly, not going to be for him. Terry's Reds. Does Jax and Smugget need to pit? They'll be vulnerable for the restart. They do indeed. Well, actually, they don't. I don't think they actually, in theory, need to pit. But I think they'll have to. I can't see that. Can you see those mediums doing another 38 laps? Bearing in mind they're already 16 laps old. I think it's going to be tough. I think that would be a real ask. I think that would be an ask on a set of hards. I can't see that being the case. I can't see them being able to push them all the way to the end. Surely not. I mean, they'd be screaming, wouldn't they? They'd be on about 70 or 80%. I think that'd be absolutely insane. They can't do that, surely. Surely not. But, I mean, what a turnout for JLo Field then, ladies and gentlemen. He's now up into P6. Wow. P6 and on a fresh set of mediums. So this race has turned on its head numerous times. Very, very intriguing. Still no sign of the safety car coming in. I think the Sloth's accident must have been quite bad. In fact, he's put quite a number of expletives in the Twitch chat. Sadly, all covered up by stars. I don't know why they do that. I mean, who the hell cares, eh? A bit of swearing here and there doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, I won't do that because, you know, I'm clearly a professional. Yeah, no, matter too much, does it? And Terry's Red saying the mediums won't go to the end, so they'll both need to pit again, surely. That's exactly my thoughts, Terry. That's exactly my thoughts. I can't imagine either of them being able to push them to the end. I'd imagine they'd pop. I mean, I've seen the Smug Git drive push his tyres to the very, very end. Unfortunately for him, they have gone pop, I think, on twice, 2 occasions. One of them was at China, was it? I think one of them was at Bahrain. I think Bahrain, he often pushes the tyres to the very, very limits. But I mean, these two drivers who are now leading the Grand Prix both started pretty much at the back of the grid. I mean, you look at that, Jax Daniels up 17 positions. DRS Smug Git up 13 positions. I mean, either way, they've been absolutely magnificent, haven't they? I mean, you can't deny that. They've been absolutely fabulous. It's certainly looking like a bad day at the office for the Red Bull Visa team now, especially with the Sloth exiting early due to the incident that has brought out the safety car. But as you can see, via race control, we are just about to restart proceedings. It'll be Jax Daniels leading the way like he has done many times before, especially in the past season. A season in which he went on to become DRS Season 12 champion. Now, if he wins today's Grand Prix, that certainly sets a magnificent precedent for the rest of the season for him. How can you start from P18 and go on and win the Grand Prix? It'd be an absolutely magnificent achievement, but certainly something he is definitely capable of doing. Just as Terry's Reds said earlier on in the chat, he's capable of doing. It looks as if he's just about kicked off things here. I tell you what, he's got an almighty lead already. It's a second clear of Smug. Seemingly was caught unawares here. There's a bit of a battle going on further back here between Al Newt and Senna. Senna, of course, will have to pit. JLo Field right on the outside here of DRS Swanton and overtakes him. Moves on up into P5. Goes very, very, very wide. It's very nip and tuck through there. I think there is contact between Swanton and JLo Field. Swanton, oh, I tell you what, is there also contact behind him? It is very nip and tuck here. We'll stick them with JLo Field. I do wish they'd do more with their cameras here. I really do. Oh, JLo Field has run very, very wide in the Mercedes, which then allows the others to manoeuvre their way through. I think that'll be much to Swanton's relief. JLo Field was putting some real pressure on the Haas driver, who is now fallen almost a second behind Al Newt at the restart here. He can't let that happen. No, I'm telling a lie. It's Al Newt who's fallen nearly a second behind Senna. Apologies there. Swanton is right on the rear end of Al Newt. Apologies there. So back up to Smug Git then. He's a little bit too far back. Swanton is probably the only one potentially who could make a move here. Of course, there is no DRS on the lap 1 of the restart. Swanton getting right up the rear end of Al Newt. I think there is a little bit of minimal contact, perhaps. Daniel Morris is right behind him as well. Alex Pixie picking up a 10. What on earth is going on with these 10-second penalties this evening? Real killer blow, as I said to you earlier. I personally believe that it should only be 5 seconds, but that is just my opinion. We'll stick them with Swanton at the moment here. His battle with a very close friend of his, Al Newt. I won't tell you what those two get up to on a weekend, but it certainly isn't PG. I think Swanton should have the DRS. Yes, he will. He'll have the DRS available to him now. Battery enabled. Is he going to make an early move here? He is. He's going to try and go down the outside of Al Newt here. It's a fantastic overtaking maneuver. Both drivers did very well there indeed. But DRS Swanton up into P4. He is on the faster compounder tyre. He'll now have Senna in his sights. Senna is going to have to go into and do his drive-through soon. Going to blow for him. In fact, he's going in now. He's not going to compete with Swanton here. It's probably for the best. Swanton now up into P3. He is 1.5 seconds behind Smudgett. I would imagine he'll pull that gap back quite quickly on the front two, given that they're on much, much older tyres. If you look at the tyre telemetry scenario there, Jack Daniels is on 20-lap-old mediums, as is Smudgett. And Swanton is on 5-lap-old mediums. And yeah, Sloth just confirming it's never PG with them two. That is referring to DRS Swanton and Al Newt. Swanton now starting to pull away from Al Newt. He might just have... Oh, I tell you what, Smudgett running very wide there. Swanton moving up into P2 then. But he will not have the DRS available to him, I don't believe. No, he won't, which is a bit of a killer blow for him. Smudgett, on the other hand, will have it available to him. Surprised to see Smudgett retake P2. Depends on the exits that Swanton's going to get here. He's already starting to pull back time on Jack Daniels. I think Jack Daniels may have made a bit of an error here, not pitting. J-Lo Field, a 3-second time penalty for him. That's a bit of a killer blow for him, especially with 50 Gent not that far behind. Smudgett then looking to make the manoeuvre. No, it's wisely, I think, decided to back out there. Swanton almost within DRS range then on Jack Daniels. And the soft tank, some say illegal in some countries, but who am I to judge? I don't think we're allowed to judge anyone these days, Lottie. But that's for another time. We'll try and, as I said, I am trying to keep track on further down the grid, but not a hell of a lot going on. DRS Sign battling it out with Lord Coleman. We'll go back to the top again as Daniel Morris and Al Newt in a bit of a scuffle there, and Al Newt has now dropped down to P5. And he's also got Marksby right behind him as well. We'll stick with Marksby and Al Newt for the time being. Swanton, though, will be in DRS range of Jack Daniels. It would be interesting to see how last season's championship rivals will battle it out on that straight. We'll move back over there in just a second. They're just about to go around that final chicane. Let's see what Swanton can do here. Going to have DRS and battery life available to him, as will Jax. I think he's going to hold out for one more lap at least. Perhaps he's not trying to fight this too much at the time, knowing full well that Jax will have to pit at some stage. Well, I think trying to manoeuvre his way around him early on might be the better option. Maybe he wants to reserve his tyres for as long as he can. Not get into too many needless squabbles. Newt then is now 2.1 seconds behind Daniel Morris. Daniel Morris on a bit of a charge here. He's got Smudgett ahead of him now for that final podium position. But of course, does have a 10-second time penalty to contend with as well for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, there is a little bit of contact between Daniel Morris and Smudgett, but I don't think it's major. I think it's just a bit of a tap. I'll tell you what, Jack Daniels has almost pulled a second clear of Swanton there. Might be lucky here, Swanton, to be within DRS range. I think he was just about there on the line there, so yeah, he's definitely got it available to him, but I think he's going to be far too far back to make a move here. Maybe just reserving those tyres a little bit. We'll go to Daniel Morris. Again, not looking to make the move on Smudgett just yet. Smudgett is keeping pace with the front two, though, so he's doing a fine job once again. especially considering how far down he was at the start of the Grand Prix. Marksby then quite close behind Al Newt then, but he is on quite old softs. I don't think he's going to have... He will have DRS available to him, as will JLo Field actually on Marksby. Oh, and JLo Field touching the curb there. He is still leading the way, JLo Field, on the Pro-Am side of things, but he does have a 3-second time penalty to contend with towards the back end of this race. Sainsy then doing a fine job, manoeuvring his way back up to P10. Pretty sure he probably thought his race was over. He's doing a good job. In fact, he's not far now behind 50 Gent. He's within DRS range. Oh, but he goes very, very wide there, seemingly forgetting to brake, and will now move back down the grid there. Apologies for catching that there, Sainsy. Swanton then still behind Jax Daniels. I think he's just biding his time here. As we said, we know Jax will have to pit at some point. Imagine it'll be in the next 12 laps or so, and he'll throw in a set of softs and perhaps go on a late charge, but I think it'll be way too much to ask. Manoeuvre his way back up into P1. I would imagine he'll have every opportunity of getting P3 podium with a nice fresh set of softs. I don't think he'll be battling for the win today, Jax. Maybe he should have pitted under the safety car restart. We'll stick them with this battle for the time being. Swanton will have the DRS available to him. Again, this isn't usually the best position to overtake on, because it means the rival car will have DRS, most likely going into the long straight, and that is where the DRS proves most effective. Mr. Pickle saying, has Senna bottled it again? Sadly, got a drive-through penalty. I think there was a bit of panic on his behalf. Sadly for him, he was having an absolutely fantastic race and he looked on to win the Grand Prix, and this time Swanton will make the manoeuvre and moves himself successfully up into P1. A fantastic overtaking manoeuvre by last year's runner-up on last season's champion. But imagine now, you'd like to think he might start to pull away. He's got 15-lap newer medium tyres. I would imagine he'll start to pull away now. You would have thought, at least. You would have thought he would have done. Let's go then down to the battle. It's a pretty intriguing battle here going on between Colin, 50 Gent, and Marksby. You can also include JLo Field into that as well. It's nice to see a couple of Pro-Ams and a couple of Pros. 50 Gent running very, very wide there, and Colin makes the most of that, manoeuvres his way up into P8. 50 Gent now dropping down to P10. Lord Coleman makes the most of that. But 50 Gent keeping his teammate. Oh no, he's led his teammate by. He's let DRS sign by. He might even lose a position to Centra Finley there if he's not too careful. No, Centra is going to hang back a little bit there. But 50 Gent there, not great from him, and now drops that back down to P11. The Marksby just 7/10 behind JLo Field. JLo Field now nearly 3 seconds back on Al Newt. Al Newt having a great race, and I'd be very surprised to not see Al Newt on the podium. I think unless something major happens in the remaining part of this Grand Prix, I think he's most likely going to pick up a podium position. So I don't think Smug and Jax certainly won't make the end on these tyres. Go to Centra Finley, the Ferrari Pro-Am driver. His teammates with Daniel Morris this season. In the meantime, JLo Field and Marksby having a bit of a battle. We'll actually go back to that one. Marksby, surely his tyres must be nearing the end now. 18 laps old. Soft compound tyres, battling away with JLo Field on 11-lap old mediums. 3-second time penalty for DRS Colin. Certainly won't help his chances of finishing in a reasonable position this evening. So Swanton, yeah, as predicted, starting to pull away now from Jax Daniels. 1.5 seconds clear. In the meantime, Marksby will make the move on JLo Field and manoeuvres his way up into a fine piece. Oh, and there is collision there. JLo Field and Marksby coming together. And I think JLo Field will have some form of wing damage. We've got the yellow flags added Sector 1. There is no safety car. I'm very, very surprised to not see a driver out there. They're very, very fortunate. I think it was JLo Field and Marksby. JLo Field went into the back of Marksby. Going to be pretty gut-wrenching for JLo Field. I think it was JLo. He's seemingly now dropping further down. I think he's got front wing damage here. He'll have to dive into the pits. Certainly doesn't seem to have any grit whatsoever. He's down into P14 now. We'll go back up to DRS Syme, who's battling hard here with DRS Colin. I tell you what, in the meantime, we'll go back to Daniel Morris, who's right behind DRS Smug Git. Is he going to get him into turn 1? He does. Daniel Morris up into P3. And Daniel Morris will be able to finish the Grand Prix on the current set of tyres he is on. But he does have that 10-second time penalty hanging over his head, sadly, on what would have been a fantastic, fantastic debut race for him. It still could be fantastic. But with the 10-second time penalty looming over your head, going to get it. And JLo Field has retired from the Grand Prix. He's sadly retired in the pits. A little bit of frustration there, creeping through. I'm not surprised. 47 laps into a long Grand Prix. It's always quite gut-wrenching when that happens. 50 Gen also diving into the pits, coming out on a fresh set of hards. He is now in P14. And Sainsy then back up into P11, and now Centra Finley is leading the way in the Pro-Am proceedings. Well done to him. Bazza saying, I missed the drive-through pen for Senna, as was upstairs with the other Senna, and after he served it, I think he caught a keen and spun. Not sure what caught a keen means, but yeah, apparently he's spun as well. Not ideal for Senna, who is now sadly in P16. I tell you what, I completely missed that. I didn't even realise he was down there. Yeah, apologies for that, Senna. Completely missed that. Let's go then back up to Centra Finley, battling hard now with Syme, who's not had his best race by his standards, certainly. Only in P9, he'll not be overly happy with that position. He's got Colin ahead of him now. Colin does have a time penalty, and Colin is on the soft compound tyre, as is Marksby, so both of them will have to pit towards the end. So I think he'll be hoping for around a P7, perhaps P6 finish in today's race, which I think would be reasonably respectful. We'll go back up then to Daniel Morris now, who's putting some real pressure on Jax Daniels. I think Jax is going to have to pit sooner rather than later. Can he get 24 laps out of a set of softs? Marksby's got 21 laps out of a set of softs, and also he had a heavier fuel load. I think he probably needs to take the plunge sooner or later, because he's just going to keep falling down the grid. And as you can see there, Daniel Morris, 1996, on his debut race, up into P2, but again, sadly, has that 10-second time penalty. A real killer blow for him. Then go down to the battle between Colin and Marksby. Colin then, I think Marksby's going to have the outside of him here. Oh, he has the outside of him there. Let's have a look at the rest of the field. Sainsy then right behind Centra Finley. It's actually quite an important battle here for P11 and P10, because it would be the lead in the Pro-Am side of things. We do have 9 drivers in the Pro-Am this season. And, these two are one of the... Ooh, Sainsy almost going into the back of Centra Finley there. Could have been a bit of issue for both drivers there. Centra Finley battling hard with Syme and Colin here as well. So Sainsy will want to bring himself into that pack with Nico on the hard compound tyre. He is 4 seconds back though, sadly for him. Let's go then back up to Jax Daniels, who's looking to make the move into turn 1. Jax Daniels back up into P2 then. But he is now 4 seconds behind Swanton. Not only is he 4 seconds behind Swanton, Daniel Morris then back up into P2. Tell you what, I was babbling on there and completely missed that. Daniel Morris with a great overtaking manoeuvre to move himself back round last season's champions, Jax Daniels. Up into P2 then. Sector 1, we have I think it's a Williams. I think it might be Alex Pixie. Who, yeah, Alex Pixie sadly coming off the track there, was it? Or was it? No, it might have. I don't know who it was. It might have even been Colin, who knows? But Sainsy now in P10. And Centra Finley then up into P8. Wow, great driving from him today. He could take home 25 points in the Pro-Am standings today. A magnificent achievement for him if that is the case. Nico then picking up a 3-second time penalty. Puts any chances of him matching Sainsy to bed here then with that 3 seconds worth of time penalty. Smudgett then keeping in range of Jax Daniels. He's going to have the DRS available to him now. I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to potentially make a move on the current DRS World Champion. And that is the case. It's the same for Jax Daniels with Morris in front of him. A little bit further down then. Centra Finley pushing harder. I'll tell you what, Sainsy overtaking Colin here. And Colin now dropping down the grid rapidly. Sainsy moving up the grid rapidly. Sainsy is up into P9 and P2 in the Pro-Am, but he is now 1.2 seconds behind Centra Finley. He's going to have to push hard if he's going to be able to catch the Ferrari, who, of course, towards the latter stages of this Grand Prix, should be the quicker driver, being on the hard compound of tyre. When on earth are Smudgett and Jax Daniels going to pit? You'd have thought it would have been now. Throw on some softs and push for that last sort of 20 lap period. It's got to be this lap, isn't it, surely? I mean, the softs are clearly capable of doing it, although having said that, Colin has dropped further down the grid and his tyres are only 18 laps old. Although I do think Smudgett is very, very good at managing his tyres. And it is going to be the case. And Jax Daniels pits, but Smudgett stays. Oh, Jax Daniels. What on earth is going on with that pit line tonight? That's another 10 seconds to add to the list. And that puts any chance of Jax Daniels now surely picking up a podium finish. It would have been a really good podium as well, considering he started in P18. I think that now potentially maybe even puts Lord Coleman in with a chance of I would think would be his first ever podium. I'm not 100% sure on that, don't quote me on that, but I think it could be his first ever podium. And in the meantime, Centra Finley then is up into P6. What a drive from him. He is finding these hards absolutely magnificent and has gone round DRS Syme. What a drive from the young man. He's the youngest driver on the grid and is doing a smashing job. Great drive from Centra Finley. At the moment, given that Jax Daniels has just picked up that 10-second time penalty, at the moment, you would have to say this guy's got to be driver of the day. And the positional changes, look at that, 11 places. Fantastic. Jax Daniels also picking up another 3-second time penalty. Smudgett now diving into the pits. Guessing he'll come out on a nice set of softs. Lord Coleman then, now up into P4. But, of course, this gentleman here on his debut drive, Daniel Morris, 1996, has a 10-second time penalty, which I think is going to prove massively costly here. But it's going to work wonders for this man here, Al Newt, who at the moment stands to take P2. He's just now got to keep it cool, calm, and collective, and he will collect... will it be your first P2 ever, Al Newt? I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that, but I think that could be the case. 50 Gentleman in the meantime, moving up into P12. Alex Pixie dropping down to P13. Easy Life now diving into the pits and throwing on a nice fresh set of softs. Smudgett now in P10. It does have that nice fresh set of softs on. He's going to be on a bit of a rampage now. Sainsy up into P7. Centra Finley up into P5 now as well. So I'm now right behind Finley. Finley might be a bit of a sitting duck here against DRS Syme. Sainsy not quite close enough to get that DRS available to him, sadly for him. He needs to start pushing on to Syme to then be able to gain ground on Finley and potentially take P1 in the Pro-Am. Stick with Syme then now as he pushes Centra Finley, but Finley managing to retain that position. And in the meantime, Jax Daniels with a magnificent 1:11.906 takes the fastest lap of the day. I think it's fair to say, I got it completely wrong. I thought Swanton had made a mistake going on those hards. Perhaps the safety car worked wonders for him. I think it certainly didn't help our Senna, sadly. A real killer blow for him, picking up a drive-through under the safety car. DRS sign right now behind centre of Finley. Sainsy, though, not quite quick enough to able to get closer to Syme, with Jax Daniels breathing down his neck as well. Of course, Sainsy will know he's not competing with Jax or Syme, but it is Centra Finley up ahead who he needs to catch, and he needs to catch fast if he's going to take P1 in the Pro-Am. Very, very wide from Sainsy. Sainsy, though, now coming inside, trying to keep that position. I think Jax has just got to be a little bit more patient here. It's a dangerous position to overtake on, but he has made it stick. Sainsy, I think, wisely almost backing out a little bit there. And Sainsy's certainly got the pace of him down the straight there. In the meantime, Syme has manoeuvred his way back round Centra Finley. I think these two are going to be swapping positions from now until the end of the Grand Prix, but Syme would be absolutely over the moon at a P5, I think, here today. I think he'd be absolutely over the moon. Speaking of which, I think it's going to be now tough for Lord Coleman to potentially now even get a podium here, with Daniel Morris on an absolute roll here. He's still 8 seconds behind Swanton, but 1.8 seconds ahead of Al New. I don't think P2 will be up for grabs for Morris. I think Al New will certainly have enough speed there, but I think P3 is certainly within the realms of possibility now. Lord Coleman is 7.8 seconds behind Al Newt. Obviously, Al Newt is 1.5 seconds behind Daniel Morris. Of course, Daniel Morris is, well, he's technically on the faster compounder tyre, but maybe the hards might start to come back into their own later on. Jax Daniels then up into P5. It's a real deep manoeuvre on Syme and Finley, but he just about makes it stick here. Finley now down to P7. Smug not far behind Finley now. Of course, Smug is on a nice fresh set of softs. He's already manoeuvred his way around Sainsy. But again, it's not Sainsy and it's not Finley's battle. They are battling between the pair of them. That's all they need to be concerned about here in their push for P1 in the Pro-Am Championship. Many people actually predicted Sainsy for the Pro-Am title this season. P2 or P1 would certainly be a good start. Certainly be a good start, but nobody said Centra Finley at the start of the season. Is he going to be the dark horse? I think he will. He could well be, you know. He's driven absolutely fantastically today, and at the moment is my driver of the day. Unless anything untoward happens. We'll go back to Al Newt then, who's managed to catch up Daniel Morris a little bit now. Those hards are starting to come into their own now. He's managed to pull back into the DRS zone. Lord Coleman, though, has dropped further back, though. Lord Coleman is just about in that range of taking the P3 from Daniel Morris. Yeah, I think he's still just about there. There's not a lot in it. He's going to have to push. He's certainly going to have to push. And Mr. Pickle saying, I might return for a one-off race if there is space next week. Of course, he has just recently joined the fire service, and we wish him good luck with that. But yeah, absolutely, Mr. Pickle, by all means, come on back. You're surely missed, that's for sure. And he also says Sainsy is the GOAT. Go that far, but yeah, I think he's had a good race. But he needs to push now. He's got to push. But sadly for him, he is now on probably the slower compounder tyres. Al Newt blasts his way down the straight and moves up into that P2 position. There was a little bit of contact, I think, between him and Daniel Morris there. Daniel Morris touched his rear end there. Smug Git as well, in the meantime, does manoeuvre himself up into P6. It's been a very good race for him as well. Bearing in mind the position in which he started, he's also had a very, very good race. Of course, now he's going to be absolutely flying on those softs. I feel sorry for this gentleman here. I think had he not picked up those penalties, have a quick look at that, 13 seconds worth of penalties, I think he'd have been well on the way to getting at least a podium. But I don't think that's going to happen now. Expletive Spurs. Well, yeah, I mean, champions of Europe, we know what we are. That's all I'll say on that regards. Right, so let's move further down. Colin then making the move here. Oh, there is contact between him and Nico. I never know whether or not to call him Rouge Nico now, or just Nico. Maybe one day he'll tell us that. 50 Jet then as well, looking to make a move on Marksby. I think is wisely dropped a little bit further back. He'd had a really good race up until the last safety car, and Rouge seemed to have dropped right back down the grid. Let's now go back up to find a nice close battle. Probably is this one, isn't it? I think, to be fair, maybe Smudgett and Lord Coleman. Jax Daniels has now moved his way up into P4. He's a long way behind Daniel Morris, though. I mean, there's still plenty of laps, though, isn't there? If he can catch a second a lap, there's only 3 seconds in it in terms of penalties. It's going to be tough, but is it out of the realms of possibilities here for Jax Daniels to actually somehow, even with the 13 seconds worth of time penalties, to sneak a podium? I mean, Smudgett, I think, has certainly got every opportunity here now. I think Lord Coleman will probably move aside on the straight, being on the much slower compound of tyre. We've got just the 12 laps left to go here. I think Smudgett will make the manoeuvre here. Daniel Morris, in the meantime, has moved ahead, back ahead of our Newt. They're having a nice little battle there, the Ferrari and the McLaren. And yes, Smudgett is now up into P5. But of course, he doesn't have 10 seconds or 13 seconds worth of penalties. So there is every opportunity that he could indeed snap up third place. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Swanton then, I mean, he's absolutely cruising to victory here, isn't he? I don't think he expected this, did he? He's 10 seconds clear now. I think had Senna not had those issues he'd had, I think he'd have been right up there pushing him all the way. And Mr. Pickle saying 50 never uses ERS. Well, he's used it a little bit, not a lot. But yeah, there might be something to it. Let's ride back on board then with our new. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a nice overtaking manoeuvre here. He's going to have plenty of DRS. Oh, and I tell you what, Daniel Morris is diving into the pits. I'm guessing then he's going to remove that 10-second worth of time penalty. He's going to throw in a set of softs. I tell you what's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Senna then setting the new fastest lap of the race at 1:11.855. Not a bad idea at all from Daniel Morris. Get rid of those 10 seconds worth of penalties. Throw in a set of softs. Probably not a bad move. Probably not a bad move. So as things stand then, Swanton leading the way then. Closely followed, well, perhaps not closely followed by our Newt, but he's still doing a magnificent job in P2. Jax Daniels then in P3. What a drive from him. It's just a shame that he's picked up 2 stupid penalties, which now accumulating together reaches 13 seconds worth of penalties. 13, unlucky for some. Season 13, 13 seconds worth of penalties. Certainly been unlucky for Jax Daniels today. DRS Smudgett then running in P4. What a race he's had as well. Certainly another contender for driver of the day. He's been absolutely magnificent. Moving up 11 places. So if you look at this here now, Al New up 3. Jax Daniels up 15 places. DRS Smudgett up 11. Centra Finley up 10. Nico up 9. There's been some very, very good drives today. Certainly a number of drivers who could certainly stake a claim for driver of the day. For those of you watching at home, I wonder if you've got any inkling into who you believe could be driver of the day today. By all means, let me know in the Twitch live stream comment section. No real close battles then. As we stand, perhaps Sainsy and Nico is the closest one now. So as things stand then, let's have a look at Nico's penalty scenario. It's 3 seconds, so Sainsy would go ahead of him, but he wisely backed out there. I think he knows he's going to be on the much faster compounder tyre here. Nico running on 34 lap old hards. Sainsy running on 3 lap old softs. Mr. Pickle, how comes you aren't racing this season? Well, it seemed like I was going to have to be doing a lot of night work, but it hasn't quite come to fruition yet. It's potentially due now for 6 weeks' time, but we're going to be let know in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's the main reason. I couldn't really commit to every race, sadly. But I'll be on the blower, I suspect, for a few races this season. I can't do next week, sadly, but I should be okay to potentially do the following Monday as things stand. Of course, unless they get somebody else in. By all means, crack on and do that. So I can't commit to every race, sadly. Sainsy then looking to make the move now on Nico. He's on the much faster compounder tyre and moves his way past the Haas and takes P10 and P2 in the Pro-Am standings. He's going to have to make a real late surge if he's going to have any chance of catching Centrofini. I don't think he's going to be able to be honest. I think with Fidley being on the hard compound tyre, I think it's going to be a lot of work for Sainsy to do there. I think had Finley perhaps been on the mediums, it might have been more achievable as they'll start to fade away now. Although having said that, Swanton as I say, Swanton is actually moving slightly further away from Alnut. Perhaps Alnut is just saving those tyres for the oncoming battle with Jax Daniels, and potentially as well adding to that Smug Git as well. Smug is only technically now 6 seconds behind Alnut. We've got 8 laps left to go. A second a lap. Alnut might be in a little bit of a spot of bother here for his potential P2, and what a job that would be for Smug Git if he could even potentially claim P2 here. There's a lot of work left to do, but there is a real risk here that Alnut could lose that P2. I think he's doing well at the moment, though. I think he's keeping a reasonable gap, managing the scenario well. But I think there is a real risk of that playing into fruition. And yeah, sadly, no comms for me next week. So people, I'm not available next week. So Sainsy then is the driver who's closest to the far ahead, 7 tenths behind DRS Colin. But I don't think he might be able to make a move. We'll see. Obviously, he's not in theory battling Colin, and Colin does have the I think it's a 3 second time penalty residing over him. Let's have a look. Yeah, 3 second time penalty for Colin. So, and Colin. Blimey, that is very, very lucky for Sainsy there. He just about managed to move out the way. Colin perhaps feeling the pressure of the Red Bull Visa driver. Smacks straight into the wall. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have any front wing damage there. I'd be very, very surprised. I mean, I wouldn't have thought he'll dive into the pits now because I think it's too late in the day. But Sainsy moving his way up into a very, very respectful P9. Let's have a look as things go at the moment. Then we'll Smug Git. He's brought it down to about 6 seconds, I suppose, between him and Alnut. It's not going to be enough. He's got 6 laps. He's going to have to find 1 second per lap to be able to catch Alnut. He's probably going to have, in theory, he's going to have to find about 1.3, 1.4 per lap to be able to stand any chance of then being able to overtake Alnut, because he'd have to overtake him in theory on lap 71. Well, lap 70. Yeah, lap 71. I don't think he really had much of an opportunity on lap 72 because they're doing the penultimate lap. I think it's going to be a big ask. I don't think he's got enough left in the tank to catch Al Newt. I think P2 for Al Newt is pretty much wrapped up here. As long as he can stay cool, calm, and collective, I think he's going to be absolutely fine. And DRS Colin then diving into the pits. I'm guessing it's a new front wing for him. He's going to throw in a fresh set of softs as well. Guessing it's a new front wing. Yeah, it is a new front wing. And yeah, as I said, I was surprised. I would have been very surprised had he not had any sort of front wing damage there. It was quite a nasty crash to the barrier. Go back to Jack Daniels then. He's 2.5 seconds behind Al Newt, but he's got a 13-second time penalty hanging over his head. Sadly for him. So at the moment, Lord Coleman will move into P4. Jack Daniels will drop down to P5, which would still be an absolutely incredible race for him, really. That would be a really, really top job. I mean, there's still every chance that Jack Daniels, he's got enough time left to work his way. Get another 3 or so seconds. 5 laps left to go. He's on a much quicker compounded tyre than Lord Coleman. Lord Coleman now is lap 34 of those hard tyres. Centra Finley still leading the way for the Pro-Ams. He'll be really, really pleased with his performance tonight. Certainly a contender for driver of the day. I'll tell you who's not a contender for driver of the day now. That is DRS Colin, who finds himself now down in 16th place. A long way behind the rest of the field. And, you know, you'd have to probably say put Senna into that account as well. He had a magnificent second part of the Grand Prix. Not the best start. He dropped from P2 to P4. Had a really strong second quarter. We'll say second quarter of the Grand Prix, and then, but sadly, that drive through and it really, really mucked up his race after Sloth's crash. Jack Daniels is starting to make some inroads now on Al Newt. Same with Smug. It's still about 5 seconds between Smug and Al Newt, so I don't think there's going to be any real issues for Al Newt in claiming that coveted P2 position. He'll be absolutely over the moon with that, I'm sure. But what a magnificent drive from him. Another contender for drive of the day. As is this man here, your race leader. Haven't seen too much of him last few laps. He's been in a bit of a league of his own here today. Certainly looks like he's going to claim his first Grand Prix win of the season. As I said, he might not be the quickest in one lap pace, but he sure as hell knows how to manage and he knows how to win. And I think that is the difference between him and some drivers out there. Overall, he knows how to win, and that's something we can certainly say for Swanton. He knows how to manage these races correctly. He's a cool, calm and collected figure, unless you crash into him, and then it becomes very, very nasty. We won't go too much into that. In fact, it's a bit of a timid end to the Grand Prix then. It's been a reasonably good Grand Prix. It's not been the best one, but it's been pretty reasonable. 50 Gent then, closest. He's actually managed to get some DRS in here. He had a push onto Marksby. Marksby was really disappointed with his Grand Prix. There was a time when Marksby was winning race after race after race. I'm sure there was. But seemingly fallen down the grid a little bit. He'll be really disappointed with his drive today. Sainsy, on the other hand, will be very, very pleased. P2 in the Pro-Am side of things, P9 on track. Daniel Morris, I think you would have hoped for better. He was running for P2 for a lot of the Grand Prix. But sadly, he had that pit lane penalty hanging over his head. Otherwise, I think he'd have definitely been assured of a podium this evening. What would have been an incredible debut for him. And which is also then proving correct Swanton and Smug's decision to put him in the pro driver category. This man in particular, really strong race from him. P1, the Pro-Am, doing a splendid, splendid job. Syme will be happy with this. P6 at the moment. Might potentially... No, I think he's going to be too far back to move up into P5 from Jax Daniels. But P6, he'll be happy with this. He'll be really happy. He's 2.5 seconds behind Lord Coleman. I don't think there's going to be much chance of him catching him up now. Lord Coleman again, he'll be really happy with P5. Could be potentially P3. I think it's unlikely. Smug Git, what a drive from him. It's going to be P3 for him at the very, very least. Real magnificent drive from him. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, bearing in mind where he started today's Grand Prix, it's a really strong drive from him. Same with Jax, apart from the penalty scenario. Got 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. A lot of drivers got that today. They've been caught out by that line. Actually, do have to drive. I think it's 36 mile an hour, isn't it, in this pit lane? Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's 36 mile an hour for the pit lane. Alnut, really strong, solid race from him. Was certainly a thorn in the side of Swanton, Senna at the early stages of the Grand Prix, as well as Sloth as well, before Sloth sadly crashed out. He's had a really, really strong drive today, and don't be surprised to see him claim a first Grand Prix win this season. I think he's certainly got every opportunity of doing that. He's going to be P2 in the championship after today. A really, really good showing from him. Really, really good. And of course, moving into the penultimate lap, into the ultimate lap now. Swanton Bomb, or DRS Swanton as he's now known as, leading this Grand Prix and leading it by 10 seconds. It's been a really, really good drive from him today. I thought he made an error by going onto those hards. I think the safety car played a big part in helping him pull away. But I think there can be no qualms that he certainly deserves the win today. Will Jax Daniels try and get himself P2 on track here? I kind of hope not. I'd like to see Al get P2 on track. I mean, I appreciate he's going to get P2 anyhow, but I'd like to see him cement P2 on track. I think that'd be quite nice. There's yellow flags out in Sector 2. I think it might have been for... if it was only for ghosting car. Jax Daniels now going through the ghosted car. And I think Alnut is pretty much assured now of getting P2 out on track as well, so that's really good news for him in what's been an absolutely magnificent drive. But we will now go to your Grand Prix winner this evening, last season's runner-up. He is now starting this season with an absolute Swanton bomb. What a drive, what a win for the Swanton. Alnut will take P2, Jax Daniels will take... Smug Git will take P3. Jax Daniels took P3 out on track, but Smug Git will move up to P3. Great drive from him. Really, really good drive. Lord Coleman will only take P5. Jax will take P4. What a drive from him as well then. DRS Syme will take P6. Centra Finley now almost certain to take P1 in the Pro-Am standings. And P7 out on track. What a drive from the Ferrari youngster. Sainsy now going to cross the line and will take P2 in the Pro-Am. P8 out on track. A solid drive from him. Daniel Morris taking P9. I think he deserved a bit more than that. Very unlucky with penalties. Marksby will come across the line and finish in P10. I think he'll be disappointed with that. I think he can certainly do better. Nico will take P11. But I don't know if 50 jumped across him there. I don't know if 50 went ahead. Not too sure. As you can... Apologies for all the interference there. But it is Swanton who will claim the Grand Prix victory this evening. They will climb on top of that podium. a fantastic drive from him. Evening Senna, that was not. No, that's all right. That's okay, my friend. That was very unfortunate for you this evening, wasn't it? Very unfortunate. To be fair though, it was the drive-through penalty that screwed you over, wasn't it? Really, let's face it. I don't think the rest of it would have happened without that. Oh, right. Well, that certainly does explain that scenario. Then that's bloody annoying then for you. Right. Well, I'm sure all of you driving this evening are incredibly sweaty this evening, and hopefully you can go and get yourself a nice drink now and cool off. Go and have a shower. But you've all been absolutely fabulous this evening. I've been King Kong 1471. Thank you very, very much for joining me this evening, and hope to see you again very, very soon. Thank you, and good night.